AD, baby. Been hunting this bear all week.
I grunted at him. He come running back in. We just smoked another giant.
Just an absolute giant. Lifetime bull for me.
Team 200 is presented by MoonGuide. Plan your best hunt.
The first thing that pops into my mind about Adam Crumrin is how tough he is. He's probably the toughest whitetail hunter I know. He won't quit under any circumstance. Just a hardcore whitetail hunter.
That's probably one of the best bucks that I've ever passed that wasn't busted up. I mean, he was a stud.
If there's one thing I've learned about Adam Crumrin, is that he's going to be on to some absolute monster whitetails year after year.
I think one thing you can learn from Crumrin is, how to grow big deer. He obviously has big deer all around him. It's not by accident. So he's going to tell you, what food you got to put in. Adam really seems to practice what he preaches. I mean, you just don't see small deer on his wall, and you're never going to see him shoot a young buck on video. He just doesn't roll like that.
There's a good buck. There's a 160-inch 10-pointer that I'm going to let walk because, maybe his age structure, he wasn't old enough. So the dedication that it takes, that man has it, because his veins run cold some days, I think, man, because that is a hard task when you set that bar high and you stick to it. Adam Crumrin, his wall is just loaded full of just absolute giant deer. He just is a hard worker. He's an awesome hunter. He's great. He's, like you say, he's diligent. He's so type A with everything that he does that's why he's successful year after year after year.
With Adam, I mean, what he does the best is putting out cameras and actually, finding where them deer are bedded to where they're bedded, so he can locate his stands between there and where they're headed to.
A lot of guys can talk the talk when it comes to passing up deer and letting them grow and letting a beautiful 140, 150-inch deer walk. But when it comes to walking the walk, Crumrin is one of the few guys that really gets it done. I mean, every year the guy passes up deer that 9 out of 10 guys would be more than happy with. I mean, the guy just is not gonna drop the hammer on a deer unless it's a deer that he's after and a deer that he knows is completely mature and it's a buck that's on his hit list.
One of the biggest transitions for me was going from a deer hunter to when I decided to start hunting specific bucks. If I could give anybody any advice on this, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be frustrating. Over the course of about 5 years, you're going to give that deer a place to eat, a sanctuary to live in, watch him grow up. The whole time, you're going to be able to start a file on this deer. You're going to know where he beds, where he feeds, and by the time he reaches full maturity, you're already going to know how to kill him. And when it comes time to harvest him and reap what you have sown, there's absolutely no better feeling in the world.
Coming up next, Adam Crumrin targets and kills a buck in the early season, and later, he shares the story of a 5-year-old buck he named Shredder right here on Team 200.
I can't believe it. We've got a giant deer on the ground. By far the biggest buck I've ever killed.
And I had his onyx pointed. He didn't pick up anything. Gave me a 30-yard shot.
Thank God I have an Ozonics.
Start seeing more deer more often and closer than you ever thought possible with Ozonics. Ozonics is the only product that actively and continually attacks game spooking odor in the downwind airstream during your entire hunt, allowing you to beat an animal's #1 defense, its nose.
Get some rutting buck by Conquest. This is the real deal. This isn't some chemical that they've mixed up to make it smell like it. This comes straight from the deer. When it comes to hunting mature whitetails, there's no better feeling than knowing you raised that whitetail. You've given him time to grow. It may be 3, 4, 5 years. You've given him food, a sanctuary to grow up, and whenever you feel that he has reached his full potential, now you get to hunt the whitetail that you watched grow up. Well, it's July 13th, 14th, something like that. We're driving around trying to locate a buck for this fall. The moon's on the rise, and I guarantee you anybody that consistently kills mature bucks is driving around every evening checking the bean fields.
His diligence to constantly be checking his trail cameras, knowing what deer are traveling where, what deer live where. He's got a purpose when he goes there, and it's all about timing, and it seems his timing is impeccable.
You know, the game is all about trying to figure out what a big buck is going to do before he ever does it, because big deer, they're not playing by the same rules that we are. You see them make a mistake, you got to be ready to move in and take advantage of that, because opportunities in whitetail hunting just don't come along every day.
I had all my cameras like I usually do on all my food plots. Everything was just slowly burning up. I knew it was time to move everything to water sources. I had found a little bitty pool of water on one of my farms, so I decided to put a camera on that. I went back in a couple weeks later and I had everything. I had raccoons, I had does, I had coyotes, but I had a really big 9 and a really big 10 coming into that water source. At that point, set a stand and stay out of there till season rolled around and I had the right wind direction to go in.
What we've got here is a dry creek bed, and the only water hole is right here, kind of below us, and I've had a camera on it for several weeks now. Multiple deer, coyotes, herons, there's even 4 minks coming into it. So everything's coming to this water, and then, knock on wood, they've been coming to this water hole in daylight hours. So everything's in our favor. We've got the temperatures 80 degrees, the only water around, perfect wind direction.
The mental part of hunting big whitetails is you really got to stay focused. You know, so if you stay mentally focused, your chances of shooting a big whitetail are a lot better.
I think we just smoked a big 10. I don't know what happened down here at the water hole. The wind has kind of been swirling all evening. I had him at 27 yards. I just couldn't get a shot at him. Then he went back out to try to get around us.
There he is. See a rack sticking up. I called him the Tuning Fork 10. He's got a big split G3 right here. It's a buck that we came in after. Finally on October the 4th, we got the south wind and I came in right at last light, circled back around us, but I got a crack at him in the bean field behind us. Couldn't be happier. October the 4th, and I've already got 1 buck on the ground.
What does it take to fire up a mature buck? Estrus scent. Some scent products just don't work because they just aren't what they claim to be. Independent lab testing has found literally no trace of estrogen in the doe estrus scent products of other leading brands. Did you know that estrogen levels of a whitetail doe at peak estrus is over 30 picograms per milliliter? This level of estrogen is what you need to get a big buck's attention, and every batch of raw peak estrus is tested by an independent lab and certified to contain estrogen levels of 30 plus. Raw certified peak estrus, always fresh. No water or preservatives added. Just 100% peak estrus and 100% money back guaranteed.
Adam Crumrin starts every season the same way, scouting as soon as the last one ends and preparing his farms for the next season.
When it comes to killing mature whitetails, there's no secret out there. You can read all these articles, you can read the books. No one has ever wrote an article about killing a buck on your farm. You have to learn how the deer use your farm, know where to hunt, know when to hunt. You just have to scout, scout, and scout.
It's one thing to find a big mature whitetail and hunt him down and be able to get an arrow at him and get your hands wrapped around a giant set of antlers. I mean, that's a huge challenge in itself. Not only hunt down a big buck and get an arrow in him, but capture that entire experience on video. It just takes everything to a completely different level.
If I'm given a choice to have a cameraman or solo cam, I'm gonna film myself every time. Simply because with a cameraman, you're gonna have twice the equipment, twice the noise, and twice the scent.
Well, we just passed probably a buck that we probably should have shot. I think it's probably a 5 or 6 year old deer. He's been missing off the farm for at least 2 years. We've been chasing a monster all season. I'm talking Boone Crockett 10-pointer. But we haven't seen him in 3 weeks. And gun season's a day away. So he came into this woodlot. We've only been in here one time. Just smashed a monster. I don't know if he dropped, I hit him high, or if I just misjudged him a little bit. He was coming in pretty fast.
If you're a working man or a weekend warrior, you need to plan your hunts. The MoonGuide allows you to do that. It allows you to pick those days that you gotta be in the field. Let's face it, there's nights where you're driving around, you see more deer out in the field than other nights. Those are the key moon nights that activity peaks the most.
Well, we finally got our stuff together. There's no tracking job whatsoever. I hit him high and dropped him in his tracks. So we're gonna get down and go check him out.
It's an old brute. We're less than a day away from Illinois gun season now. I knew once I saw the mass on this deer, and if I got good camera pre-roll this deer, I was definitely gonna shoot him. What a giant.
For over 2 decades, the MoonGuide has been the #1 rated tool for serious hunters, telling you when giant whitetails will move and where you need to hunt. Now, you can accurately predict the best days and times to catch a big buck moving during daylight with the Deer Hunter's MoonGuide. Are you tired of hunting nocturnal trail camera bucks? Do you ever wonder why some bucks only show up during daylight on certain days each year? The Deer Hunter's MoonGuide is here to help, and it's unlike any other lunar tool you've ever seen. For effective preseason scouting, scheduling time off work, planning out-of-state hunts, and increasing your overall hunting success, simply check the MoonGuide's calendar to find the best days, times, and hunting locations to catch a mature deer on his feet during daylight hours. The MoonGuide is now available as a mobile app too, giving you exclusive tips from the pros, local weather, the rut guide, exclusive discounts, and the deadly red moon data. Plan your best hunt at moonguide.com. It's the rut, and Adam Crumrin has been hunting a buck he has named Shredder.
Shredder got his nickname from the trees that he destroyed on my farm. First year I hunted Shredder, he had 15-inch G2s and he was just an awesome animal. And the second year I hunted him was a little bit smaller. He was still a fully mature whitetail, and at this point it was about finishing something that I started and getting Shredder on the ground. In 2010, I knew what food plot I was going to hunt Shredder on. So I put cameras around the edge of it. I sat back and just waited for him to show up. The first couple pictures were nighttime, and finally, the 1st of November, like he always did, I finally started getting daylight pictures of him, and I knew it was time to go in and hunt Shredder.
Well, it's November the 12th. Unfortunately, we're supposed to have record heat today, but he's got beans, clover, and then this creek that runs through here, spring fed. It's always got water in it, so I'm sure he's down in there.
A lot of guys tell me that it doesn't matter what the moon is, it's a weekend, they're gonna hunt. You know, that's true, but whenever you're hunting a mature whitetail and you already know that he moves with the moon, I will stay out of a tree stand for 2 weeks and wait for the moon to come around, the right wind direction, and that's when I will go in there and try to kill that deer.
Shredder. I know we're way low on camera light. When you hunt a deer like that for 2 years, no way you can let him walk if you get a shot in. There's no blood trail or anything. When I shot, he ended up dropping and I hit him in the spine, but I got something because he ended up dying. So let's get down and go look at him.
There he is, folks. Look at that thing. Saw him a couple nights ago, but ran out of light. Didn't know if it was going to come together tonight, but I had just enough light to make a good shot, and finally it all came together tonight. I checked the camera and knew that he was down in that draw, or thought he was. He went in there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was just hoping he came out tonight, and he did.
Adam Crumrin is a soldier. He's loyal. I mean, he's a guy that when he makes a commitment, he's gonna stick with it. He's gonna do whatever it takes to go after giant whitetails in Illinois.
The guy doesn't know the word quit, and it doesn't matter if it takes a month or if it takes the entire season. I mean, he's not gonna give up until that big deer is dead.
One of the biggest keys to my success is no secret. It's my food plots. I have around 35 acres, 1 or 2 acres of imperial whitetail clover. And in Illinois, we kind of have our hands tied. We can't put out supplements, minerals, anything like that. So we have to get our nutrition from our food plots. So in the end, the food plots are kind of my bread and butter.